Friends, we're here, except for Henley. He's joining us in a second. I'll note that we decided to get started like 10 to 12 minutes ago when we didn't know Henley would show up or not, because he did not listen to Drummer Boy when he said daylight savings time. So the power of daylight savings can destroy all in its path.
Literally everything.
We had this problem in the fall.
Yeah.
I knew it would happen again.
That's a solid go-to thing.
Yeah. I'm used to it now because I've been here for the last 7 years. So I'm used to it by now.
Yeah.
Everyone else changes their time, and if I'm going by Eastern time, then sometimes it's 2 hours ahead, sometimes it's 1 hour ahead.
I always forget about it, but
We
I just don't know. It's like, is it because daylight savings, or is it because when I'm doing something, I get wrapped up in it and I just don't notice the passive time, so I just don't notice the change.
We're Saskatchewan Time Lords, also farmers.
Yeah, I was gonna say we have some pretty dark time magic where I come from in America. You know, we can just make the time whatever we feel. God damn it! Is my camera doing this thing again? Where if I get closer, I snap in between coloring?
Yeah, what's up with that?
So it has to do with my lighting system and how far away it is from me. So when I'm too close, it enters into infrared mode and blues me out, and in the process, the blue interferes with the green background. So I go very pale. Yeah.
Weird. It's not going pale for me. But your chroma, like your
Yeah,
green
my
screen is going
background
from like green to like a green
Yeah,
yellow.
it's the infrared camera. I'm trying to figure out just how much dark
Weird.
power I require.
Yeah. Turn down your dark power level.
I can't.
9,000.
It's impossible.
Look, you have to expend it. You have to execute some minions. You know, shock them to death or whatever. It's fine.
About that, but okay. You know, we're here, and I don't know, we're gonna be pretty freeform today.
Yep. Spoody's off getting drunk in Ireland.
They canceled the St. Patrick's Day parade, so he's gonna be very upset about that.
They're probably just going to be more drunk.
Yeah.
That's
No
a solid
parade.
choice.
No parade to like split off the drinking time.
There'll just be less people drunk in public.
There are way too many Ireland jokes for that one. I'm just gonna let it slide. Yep. Henley has just joined us. Dave Trigger on the field.
Oh, hello.
Some say he's a half hour early, others say he's a half hour late. That's the power of time, my friends. You're muted.
Power of audio.
Power of time, my friends. It can even stop Dave from speaking.
It doesn't know why he's muted, though.
I don't know why he's muted.
Because time. You need to
I
give
agree.
time for your words to get through the microphone.
The words have to get through the wires. It's fine. They have to go across the ocean.
Yeah. I just refilled all my cables with maple syrup, so we're good.
Really use maple syrup? I use the blood of my enemies. Works pretty well.
I was gonna say, is that a thing? Does that work?
No.
Yeah. All right, that should be better.
Does sound okay.
What do you mean? I just unmuted.
Yeah, you're unmuted.
You're unmuted. You're a little quiet though.
I recently reset stuff up in the mixer, so
Do it.
See, the key to having everything working is not to do anything super fancy. That's what I.
No, well, I mean, what the fuck? Okay, someone has to explain to me why we're starting half an hour earlier than we normally do.
We're not.
Because
For the rest of us, except for Drummer Boy, we're starting on our regular time. Daylight savings time kicked in America, so all our clocks moved.
and daylight savings time because it doesn't kick in for you until the end of the month.
Correct.
So
Fun
right now,
stuff.
Yeah, but
and
why is it
Saskatchewan-
only half an hour? Normally,
Saskatchewan doesn't do that shit at all. So like
It wasn't a half
technically-
an hour, it was a whole hour.
We've been here for
You're a half an hour late.
30 minutes already.
We've just been
Just hanging
talking
out.
I
shit.
mean, I literally asked in the chat, like, oh,
Yeah, and
I'm late.
Drummer was like, "Yeah, there's time problems." He said
Okay.
something. He saw
Yeah.
something. He said something.
You said it's 8:30 here and no time change, so I'm like, okay, it's an hour earlier than normal for us.
Okay. But then you also said that you haven't started yet. And then I said, okay. So you guys starting half an hour late? Like,
Yep.
I'm very confused.
Half an hour late for
Yeah,
America.
so we waited 15 minutes. We thought you weren't going to show up. So we decided to just get started because we were talking anyway. Then I had to go deal with Amore right as the timer ended. And by the time I got back to my seat, you had awoken.
I see.
Dave
That-
awakens,
that makes a
awaken the
lot-
sleeper.
Like it takes me like 20 minutes to like do not be mentally deficient enough to understand the world around me. So yeah.
It's time
hello.
time paradoxes, man. They get everyone.
Time.
You know, you just
But
kill
we're here
one
now.
revolver ocelot, and then it's all over.
Damn, that's a throwback.
Ugh.
I was gonna say it hasn't been that long since that game, but I'm just realizing it's probably
it's
been
been a
about
while.
10 years.
It's been a while.
I always think of Metal Gear Solid 3 as being the good Metal Gear Solid, and I pretend that 4 doesn't exist, so... 5
one
was
is
just
4?
yesterday, right? It definitely wasn't like 4 years ago.
4 was the old one, right? Yeah. Well,
5
was
was
when he was an old man.
5 was
yeah.
yesterday, and then just an hour ago was that weird Survive game.
Hey, I like
Look,
Survive.
Remember,
Survive was good video game.
All
I
right,
think I remember watching Dave play it.
listen, you guys
So,
continue this
like-
conversation. I'm gonna try to do something about my lighting. This is infuriating.
Yeah.
I was about to say what's with the light show, but anyway, Survive was a good game. I don't know what you're talking about. I played all the way
never-
to the end, got to the end game, and then the fucking what was it? It was just filled with hackers because there was no one playing at that level. I was like, okay, cool.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
I think I remember. I think I remember you encountering somebody or something. It was just like, what the fuck is this guy doing?
I think everyone was just like a little apprehensive because of the way that Konami and Kojima split and then using the Metal Gear name.
Well, I think a
Was-
big thing was it was such an odd angle for them to go that people were just like, what the fuck is this?
Mhm. Did they try
I
to
don't
tie it
know.
into the other games at all, or was it just like a
I
standalone?
don't think it was standalone, wasn't it?
No, it wasn't really standalone. It was basically at the beginning of the game of Metal Gear Solid 5, the original mother base blew up. And you play as a guy from the original mother base who, because the mother base didn't blow up, you were sucked into time, bro.
Oh, like Poland.
Yes. And you get to see Big Boss at like the beginning of the game, and he's like, "Well, those guys are dead. Bye." And then it turns out you didn't die, and then you and the other survivors of Mother Base go and make sticks and poke zombies through fences.
It's weird. So they pulled
But-
like a JJ Abrams Star Trek on it. It's like time paradox, and now everything's different.
Oh no, everything was the same. Everyone remembers that. But like, for example, you'd be like, "Oh man, what a cool coincidence this is that we all lived." And then they'll be like, "Hey guys, look at this Metal Gear hanging out here. Whoa." And you'd be like, "Okay. You can shoot an arm gun from the Metal Gear."
Cool.
No, but that game was real rad. Like, if like hypothetically speaking, if like there was no like Hideo Kojima, like and Konami had just made Metal Gear, right? Like there was no like, oh, I'm going to leave this game because I'm a tortured artist or whatever or bullshit like that. Like if there was none of that, Metal Gear Survive would have been a really well received game in my opinion. It was great. It's a good game.
Maybe.
Hot takes with Dave.
But that's also like if Death Stranding wasn't a Hideo Kojima game, would people care or not? Because it's basically a glorified co-op simulator. Like it's a 3D co-op game.
Oh no, actually, I think you'll find that the only You know those old driving simulator games? It's basically that. Like I have developers in my studio who are making um a cargo, like an off-road cargo transport simulator, right? And they said, Hideo Kojima just basically made our game. Because it's true. That's what it is. My favorite part about that game is Hideo Kojima convinces a large population of people to walk from one side of America to the other, only with the promise of a great reward at the end. The great reward being, yo, now walk back.
It's true. Oh man. What do you think about him? Like, wasn't he saying that he wants to make movies next?
Yeah.
I mean, he basically already did make a movie.
Yeah, but like, I don't believe he could tell a
Dude,
story in 90 minutes.
I watched the man conduct a cutscene about frying an egg that lasted 75 minutes.
Which is why I don't believe he could make a movie, like a compelling one movie. It'd be like a 23 movie Avengers style.
I mean, you'd still watch that shit.
I don't know if I would, depending on what it was.
I'm actually
mean, that's the
rewatching
thing.
Avengers.
Oh yeah.
I just finished Captain America today and started Avengers 1. Doing them all in
I gotta say
chronological
that-
order.
Those movies don't like. Okay, I'm gonna give you some real fucking like side glances here. Those movies aren't that great outside of like the end game and end game part 2, whatever the fuck.
I disagree. I thought Iron Man and Iron Man 2 to some extent was pretty good. Avengers is fucking amazing. Avengers 1 is incredible. A fucking masterpiece.
The Avengers movies without the like ensemble movies without the singular movies is a little weird, because DC tried to do that and it's like, So I would agree that like Avengers 1, maybe Avengers 2 was like.
I have to
wouldn't be-
rewatch Avengers 2. I don't remember it being amazing.
What I'm saying
I
is-
remember it being pretty good.
Like the only
The
thing
one-
that I really remember about Avengers 2 is like that's where the whole Captain America and the Hammer started. Like,
Yeah.
that's the moment. It's like
Yes.
friggin' 1,000-mile stare from Thor being like, oh shit.
Okay, here's how I rank those Marvel Avenger type movies, right? So the first one, the highest one, is by far Guardians of the Galaxy 1. That movie was just amazing if viewed by itself. The next one was the first. What was the Avengers movie called where they fought Thanos and lost?
Infinity War.
Yeah, so Infinity War was the only, and then the second part. Those two are the only real good Avengers.
Civil War was
movies in
good.
my life.
I mean, Civil War was good, but it wasn't an Avengers movie. It was
No.
Captain America. I gotta tell you,
I mean,
first
Civil
Captain
War's
America is
not that
actually really bad.
Yeah.
He just drives around and he's just like, kabam! Plow! They're like, you have to destroy these 6 facilities, Captain America. And like 10 minutes later, they do a montage of him destroying the facilities. I'm like, okay. Yeah, I mean, it's just like, I punched the Nazi and they die. It was very
Well-
comic book Captain America, but it was not very good. Like, jumping from that into Avengers, I was like, wow, Captain America, the movie sucks. And Avengers is so amazing, and he's so much better in this movie.
Black Panther was really good up until that very last fight scene.
Are you kidding me? Black Panther? Listen, I have a lot of problems with Black Panther. The way royalty inherits, the way that technically, his name's not Killmonger. I mean, Killmonger is the actual king of that country. Yeah, Killmonger won that fight. Someone interfered on behalf of Black Panther. And then when Black Panther's like, I challenge you, he's like, no, I decline. You already fucking lost. And he's like, I'm gonna fight you again. And he's like, I don't feel like it. Kill everybody. Go, my army. Like, there's so many. Why would they base their whole government around who can beat each other up in a fight? It's
I think- isn't
Why
that
do they have
supposed to
better
be-
technology than the entire rest of the world when they don't have access to any peer-reviewed sciences? But
But at
other
the
than
same
that,
time,
there's so many
I mean,
good
like-
parts of that movie. Like every part with Gollum is good. The fucking music is incredible throughout it.
wait,
all
which
the-
one's Golem?
Yeah, Claw, the South African drug dealer. That guy, Andy Serkis, he's Gollum from Lord of the Rings.
Oh, okay.
That says,
Uh,
man, people are if someone takes this conversation out of context, AP really likes the villain and hates all the black people in that movie.
Listen, Killmonger and Claw. I can't believe they killed Claw in that movie. Like, he
Wait,
would have been an
wasn't
amazing recurring villain, and
Killmonger's
so
last
would
name
Killmonger. Look, Killmonger had a point.
Claw got like pretty fucked over in all the movies because didn't he get his arm cut off by Ultron
Yes.
or both his arms got cut off?
No,
Or
Just-
just the
just
one.
one.
Just the claw arm, which
Yeah.
he would
He got-
later be
He
named
got
Claw.
freaking Star Wars.
Yeah, look.
I think it's worse than that because it wasn't just the hand. It was like,
There are some really great actors in that movie. Chadwick Boseman did an amazing job. I can't
Michael
ever
B.
remember the name
Jordan.
of his general, but she is also really fucking cool. But there are parts of that movie that are just weird. They don't make sense. And going back and rewatching all the Avengers movies, I'm like, there are parts of this that don't make sense either. Why would Captain America fly around the giant super bomber instead of just trying to land the plane?
yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
there's
just a movie, man.
there's just parts of the Marvel movies that don't make any sense. They just look good. They're done so that there's dramatic tension and explosions and fighting and
Yeah.
Well, they had to do something to make it seem like some type of a sacrifice instead of just landing it and then walking away like whatever. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, he crashes into the ice, so now it makes it more versus, wow, that could have gone badly. He just walks away from a plane just sitting on the ice.
But at least it's like internally consistent because
it's
Bat-
always bullshit all the
like
time.
Batman versus Superman, that was like none of your shit is consistent. That's why this is a bad movie. It looks cool, but
The thing that bothers me about Black Panther is that it introduces Shuri, who's literally the biggest piece of shit in all of the Avengers movies. She shows up in a later movie and it's just like, yeah, I'm like 16 years old, but I'm way smarter than guys with 10 PhDs, and I'm gonna solve your problem in like 5 minutes. And I'm like, you're not even old enough to drive yet. Like, nobody is that smart at 16.
Yeah.
That's like that's like the Doogie Howser myth.
Well, she was like, that whole character was just like, hey, all of these gaps, like with all this shit, I'm here to fill them.
She was
Like,
just,
no
she
no
was
matter
just
what
a
problem it
shitty
is, I
little
can
sister
solve it.
character, which I already hate.
Yeah.
And then her whole purpose was dunking on all the established scientists, and I was like,
Pretty much.
so
wasn't
mad
she
about
like the
this.
only person that hung out with like whatever it was, the vibranium, was it?
Yeah, she spends all her time in her vibranium lab, but again, she is like 16 years old.
I mean, she is like at that point the preeminent authority on
At
vibranium. If she's
Listen, man, when I was
If-
16, I would not have been able to run a vibranium lab. Okay,
if she was sitting there in like this super high society thing for, let's say she was 10, then she's got 6 years experience with vibranium when everyone else has 0.
all right. But
Yeah, but
that
that's
does
like
not make
saying,
her an
like,
expert on
all of
artificial
those-
intelligence, which is my beef with her in
That's fair.
Infinity War, where she's just like, oh yeah, this guy Vision, I'm gonna solve all your problems real quick.
Hmm.
All right, I've beaten this horse to death. What else we got?
E3 got canceled.
Yeah, I just don't.
And
I
not
mean,
a
there's
single tear was shed.
There's always been an E3, and sometimes they introduce cool stuff, but honestly, like, Nintendo Direct has been out here killing it for years.
Well, I mean, I think it's less about like the actual direct being a thing or E3 being a thing, but more like we don't have a default like just public event, for people to actually
Yeah.
like for non-gaming entities to point out and be like, look, those guys are actually serious. Look how many people showed up to them and that sort of stuff. I mean, so that's kind of the
Well-
thing that I think will be missed the most. But having said that, anyone who likes gaming like literally anyone in the modern day can find out just about anything they want about a video game that they're interested in
Yep.
faster than they could in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
Plus-
And if all the companies that aren't going to E3 anymore because it's canceled do their own online thing and find it cheaper
a lot of
and
them are.
better, like
Well,
is that
here's the
the end of E E3?
Here's the problem too: is E3 has reached that part of like because this is the second time this has happened, right? E3 was like originally it was like information, blah blah, whatever. Then it got bigger, 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 and then it was just like more of a spectacle. And then they hit the reset, and now it's back to a spectacle again. You learn very little as there's just a lot of show without a lot of content.
Yeah. It's a lot of hype,
So-
but you can't really.
Yeah, I don't
underestimate
give
how
a
much
fuck
hype.
about hype these days. Like,
A lot of people do though.
yeah, well, those people are idiots. I mean, it's just like people get hyped over stuff and then just get
Some
disappointed.
people want to get swept up in like
But with as
Yeah.
many,
Oh, yeah,
something.
man.
Many
Look, let me tell
times-
you something. Everybody's losing their fucking minds over Animal Crossing New Horizons. I don't know anything about it, but let me tell you something. You fuck the coronavirus. Amazon Prime better deliver my shit March 20th, because that's my life now, all right? I don't know anything about Animal Crossing, but I'm so ready to play it. Everyone is so excited for it. I just want to feel that passion. I want to feel
what's really
alive.
funny, is I know people who are super excited for Animal Crossing, but also super excited for Doom, and I'm like the overlap of those two audiences is just really funny
Did
to
you
me for some reason.
Did you see the Doomacorn skin?
There's been a lot of people that have been making Doom
why
versions
did
of like
they
everything.
do that? Why?
No,
Why did they do
This is an
that?
official thing. Like,
I
what is
know
it?
it's an official thing, but why
So
did they
funny.
do that? Why didn't they just make like a, I don't know, shit. I get that. I get that there's some really cool Doom skins in there, but the Doomacorn thing, just like, I don't know.
People have been making on a lot of the Warhammer subreddits. They've been making Doom guy themed Space Marines and stuff that look really, really good, but just for giggles. So there's a lot of that going around with all sorts of stuff. Like people have been taking some of the there's some Funko Pop figures that are Space Marines, and people have been like actually doing custom work to and remodeling them to make them look like the Doom Marine and stuff.
But also on the Doomacorn, like, it's not exactly Doom. Isn't like a serious. It pokes fun at itself. It knows what it is,
Yeah.
and if it
No,
does a
I
Doomacorn
understand
thing,
that.
it's like cool, I guess.
But if you're gonna go that direction, I mean, like, why not actually just tip the fucking hat, tip the fedora, tip the decapitated demon head at actual Animal Crossing? You know, like they spend all the time and energy making this trailer, and
I would imagine they
had
would
like
have tried, but I
10
don't know
seconds
how.
dedicated to that.
Well, didn't
I
they
would- I
finally
imagine-
release Doom, like 2016 Doom on Switch? Didn't it eventually come out?
I think
Maybe
so.
think it was something else.
I think it did.
Maybe.
I thought that they finally put it out, and I thought it was on Switch. I don't remember. Like,
Yes.
I mean,
Go to
I mean, I
Google.
think they're releasing it soon,
well, I mean, the first one, it was.
and
Yeah,
they're also
it's on
releasing
Switch.
the original one with a new level or something like that. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Oh yeah,
I'd
they're-
heard some about that, about them doing like it's supposed to be like what tie it in or whatever. Yeah,
Well,
you can
they're-
get Doom on Switch.
They're
The first
checking-
one came out in
They're putting an
2017.
extra level on the end of Doom 64 to tie it into the Doom 2016 story.
Interesting.
So like your Doom guy from 64 ends up
Yeah,
something ending up in a sarcophagus.
Hey, I'm Arth-
sarcophagus.
yeah. That'd be
Um,
interesting. Is Doom becoming Red Faction? Maybe.
Hey man, Red Faction was
Look, for-
real legit. I remember the first time that I experienced Red Faction.
oh yeah, it was. I mean, it was one of the first games with like really good destruction. I mean, they even had a game mode specifically for that. I mean, and anybody doesn't. I mean, there's a remastered version of Red Faction Guerrilla on Steam that I've
Yeah, but
played through. Not too late.
Guerrilla doesn't really capture what that game was.
I mean, it's still pretty
I
good.
remember the first
It just looks really
time
nice.
that I played that. We got stuck into there was two things that I remember. The first one being that I was stuck at a door and couldn't get through, and we just sort of blasted around the door, but we didn't blast the door down. And the second thing I remember, there was a very small map, like a multiplayer map, where it's like, you could just fight your friends in it, like GoldenEye or something. And I remember it was very tiny and very boring map, but you could actually like dig tunnels around the map to like fight each other and shit. And They're the only two things I remember from that. And I know that Red Faction had like all this scenes where you had to pretend to be a scientist and all that shit, but I don't remember any of that shit other than just
I just remember wrecking shit.
let's blow a hole in the wall.
Yeah, right. Just let me just like this. You need to destroy this thing. How you do it is up to you. And it's like, okay, you could just drill into it, or you can crash a truck through a gate, or whatever, and just. And I mean, I actually had a lot of fun with that game mode, and I don't know if the first one had. I know Gorilla had it, where it's like you have a time limit, and it's like just break as much shit as possible. Like, here's a building, make it collapse as fast as you can, whatever. Just the destruction.
Red Faction 1 was like PlayStation 1, 2.
Yeah, I
What was
think
the
it's
one before
PS2.
Gorilla?
Huh?
What was the one before Gorilla?
Red Faction 2.
Really? There's only been
Yeah.
3 of them?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think
That's what I'm saying.
so.
Like Red Faction Gorilla was like, what's the best parts about Red Faction? Space and explosions. And they're like, sweet, let's just make some fucking.
Pretty
I'm
much.
convinced. I am 100% convinced that Red Faction Gorilla was actually a different game at some point. And they're just like, I don't know, let's just call it Red Faction Gorilla now. I don't know.
Yeah.
How's that sound? Because it was so strange. It's just a strange game. How did we get on this topic?
I'm talking about 83, but to get back on that topic, I think a lot of companies are tired of having to go through games journalists and all that other stuff to get information out there, because they always put a twist on it where it doesn't portray the correct information that the company wants. So they're just like, fuck you, we'll do it ourselves. That seems to be what they're doing, and they save money doing it.
There's a disconnect between the people who are marketing the game and the people who are making the game.
I mean, even
people who are marketing the game are just like, man, these buzzwords sound great. What are the kids like these days? And the people who are making the game are like, I just saw the trailer and that's not how our game works. So
See Anthem.
fucking Anthem. Wow.
Where that trailer was.
It depends how big your company is.
And the devs
right?
were like, we're doing that now? Okay.
Okay, Dave, Mr. Indie Studios Kinky Fridays. You know what I'm talking about, though. We're talking E3 specific. Look, Dave, when someone sees a trailer for your game, they're going to see some thirsty-ass visual novel shit. And what they get when they get delivered is some thirsty-ass visual novel shit, I think. I haven't played any of your games yet, but given the titles and some of the screen caps that I've glanced upon, I am 100% sure there's some thirsty-ass shit going down there.
Well, I mean, like, let's take, for example, we've got a game coming out. What day is it? On Friday.
It was Wednesday.
The 11th
so
or 12th for you, I guess.
For me. Yeah. So it comes out tomorrow on the Switch.
Yeah.
Right? Comes out tomorrow on the Switch. When it comes to the marketing for that, basically the only thing that we've done is send out keys. So and we've made a trailer, we've made a couple press releases, but anything that gets reported on is basically, I can tell you right now, almost verbatim what we wrote, because journalists don't fucking write. They just don't. So if id Tech or Bethesda, I guess at this point, sent out a press release that said, whoopity whoopity woo, Doom is the way to go, I can almost guarantee you 70% of every single article written would verbatim say that. They take basically any sort of press release that gets sent out, you write it in the style of a games journalist, so they can just go Control A, Control C, and then on their website Control V. That's pretty much it. Like, it's not like journalists don't do anything these days.
Yeah.
The only thing that a journalist is really good for is basically creating an creating a review for your product. So if you're working on a Switch game, you find journalists who have a large influential audience, and you give them the Switch game, and you basically say to them, hey, look, we'd like for you to review this, and you make it super easy for them to do so. And when I mean super easy, there's a thing called media packs. And if you don't give them a media pack, which is to say, here's all the screenshots you can use, here's a few GIFs, here's a trailer, blah blah blah. If you don't make it super easy to give them the stuff that they need to do in order to make the article, they probably won't make it. And my favorite one, my ultimate favorite one, let's say you have 1,000 keys for a game, right? And you're like, I gotta find the right people to do an article about this. If you send out an email and you want people to respond to you in order to get a key to work out if they're interested or not, that won't work, because in a lot of cases, the people who request keys are like the thirsty kind that you don't want. You have to send a key to someone, never use that key ever again, in the hope that they might use it, because they're not going to respond to your email and be like, oh yeah, no, I'll write an article for you. No, they'll just be like, oh, they didn't send me a key, I guess I'm not writing the article about it. It's fucking annoying.
Well, it's also
really
like
is.
It's also like sending an email or a DM saying, can I ask you a question?
Yeah, my favorite. Yeah, I get pissed off when that sort of shit happens too. Like, hey, I have this really cool game. Can you guys publish it for me? And I'm like, sure. What's the game? And like, oh, okay. I'm glad you asked. So it's like, fuck.
Just give me and I'll make my own decision. Thank you.
Yeah. We had talked before you joined us about how like 99% of games journalists are fucking useless.
Well, I mean, what this does, if let's say hypothetically that all the big major players, instead of going to E3, that's what E3 facilitated, was the fact that they can put all this information in a space where the only thing questionable is the language used. So think of this as like a press release that everyone in the entire world can read themselves. Now, you can very easily go read any press release you want, right? There are websites out there that just list literally every single press release ever released. Games Press is one of them, where you can just go do that. But now that they're making a press release in a visual form, it takes the basically the middleman, which is the journalist, out of the equation. And that's the reason why E3 has always worked so well from a consumer standpoint. But now that we don't have that, they have to rely on the digital format. So it becomes very strange. I think everyone will probably still keep their time slot. Maybe, we'll see. It's hard to say whether or not they'll do that. But like, for example,
if you're trying to talk over, like if Xbox says we got this time, no one's gonna take that time slot because they're just gonna get run over by Xbox.
Yeah.
Well, you don't know that. I mean, the thing is, media. The thing with media is like, it's not like, well, no one's like, we did it and now you can never see it again. Of course you can see it again. Like, basically everyone will get like a feed and watch it, all that stuff. But
it's going to be a weird week because like people are used to time slot here. Then we're going to to Xbox, and then we're going to Bethesda to see all their new shit. Then we're going to Ubisoft.
Imagine if none of them did that, though. Imagine if they were just like, well, this day doesn't mean anything now. Let's just separate it by a week.
Yeah.
Like, why the fuck not?
It'd be interesting to see, like, I mean, we don't have the numbers on it, but I know as rabid as fan bases are, I mean, a lot of people, if they're interested in something, they're already, like, checking out that shit on Twitter or whatever the fuck else. I know I do for the stuff I'm interested in. It's like, yeah, if it's something that you're not, maybe you didn't have your eye on, maybe, but I mean, other than you doing your E3 watch things or whatever, Dave, I haven't paid attention to E3 in years. It's just like, if it's something I'm interested in, I can, like, I'm already following on, say, Twitter, like, say, Cyberpunk or Doom, right?
Exactly.
Like when they put out the press release about Doom being pushed back, like the first one, the original one, they're like, hey, whatever, bug fixes, it needs polish, whatever. I knew about that within like 30 minutes of that press release going out, because everybody in my Discord, everybody in that space was sharing it or telling people whatever else. I think we're connected enough at this point to where companies can just push that shit out on, say, Twitter, and anybody who gives a shit, it's going to get around. I think E3 is great, but it's also kind of a relic of the past, like, comparatively. There's just, because a company can just push it out, and then it'll get around on its own. They don't need to spend however many hundreds of thousands of dollars to, go to E3 and do a whole big booth and blah, 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 whatever.
I have something
No,
to
I
add
mean,
here
think of
on
it-
corporate advertising. I
Go
just
ahead.
want to say that Raid Shadow Legends is a fantasy-themed
Oh my
turn-based
God.
role-playing gacha game. Please go ahead.
Come up. I knew this would come up because I was looking at, and here's the weird thing about Osmos, and I knew at some point someone would make this joke because they just did that Twitch Prime drop for it. Right, that's the only reason I knew that someone would come up and say that.
The one thing I'm gonna miss.
because he's a sucker for Twitch Prime related
Yeah.
stuff.
The one thing I'm gonna miss about E3 is like the games that I didn't know existed until they
Yeah.
showed up on the Xbox stage. Like
That's pretty much going to be the only big casualty, I think.
Like-
the stuff that you might not have been interested in, that you, it's like, oh wow, that looks cool, or
yeah,
whatever.
like the Sable, I'm still really looking forward to. That kind of like exploration, kind of looks like it's a Mobius game. Like
Fuck, I don't even know what Sable is in.
Yeah, I've never heard of this.
it's there's an artist called Mobius. He was an old comic book artist, and they're doing a 3D game in that style that's also exploration. And I'm just super into the art style. And then
it kind of looks like what was that game where you wandered across the desert as a
Journey,
weird person? Yep, Journey. That's the one.
sort of, yeah. But like Journey was sweet.
I'm not saying Journey was bad. I'm just saying.
Yeah. But then also, now I'm blanking on the name. It's like a mouse that's kind of like a isometric Zelda game. Tunic or Runic or something.
I think I know the one you're talking about.
I have remembered
somebody
hearing
playing.
about a mouse that did Zelda. It's just
Yeah, I know
familiar.
the one. I know the game. I can see it. I just can't think of it. I watched somebody play part of it. I can't remember what the fuck it's called, but I know what it is.
But like those kind of games that I wouldn't know existed other than seeing them on the Xbox Indie, whatever, or PlayStation Indie.
Is that the one where there's like a giant, like one of the big things you have to avoid is there's a human trying to hunt you down the entire time? Is that the one? So you have to like skulk in like walls and stuff. I'm gonna be thinking of something else.
No, that's what is it? Little Nightmares.
I don't remember. There's only a couple of games where you're a mouse and whatever, but I've never played any of them, so I don't know. I can't remember.
Tunic. Let's see. Tunic game.
But I remember this game, like you had to like, it was essentially you were in the walls of like a kitchen and you were having to like avoid a human, get keys and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, it's
like,
Tunic game. It's a fox. It's not a mouse, but
oh, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that game I would never know existed, and I even forgot the name of it. So like,
yeah, like I mean, there's some stuff there. There's going to be a couple casualties there, but I mean, I'm sure they'll find another way. They'll find a way. I mean,
yeah, it's just tough for like, especially this year for like smaller developers because GDC was canceled. That was like the indie showcase. There was one of the biggest ones for
I
indie
mean,
games.
we'll have to see if all this shit blows over by Gamescom.
Perfectly fine without getting a hand job from GDC. Like okay, I hate to be the guy, but I've been to like 5 GDCs now, and the only thing they're good for is finding people. But these days, the type of people that, okay, I say people in quotations, but really it's like every type of community has them. There's the really weird stigmatized high super what's the word I'm looking for here? Stereotyped person, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the community. The type of people that generally go to GDCs are like that sort of like, arty-farty indie developer that is working on their dream about making a game that shows the world the pain that a deaf person goes through. And all they do is showcase their game at events over and over again. Like these sorts of like GDC basically has, those are the types of people that you meet the most at GDC.
Yeah, but that's the only place that they get showcased. Like you're not going to see them at E3.
Well, here's the thing. Have you ever been to a GDC?
No, they only open it
because
to, like,
GDC has an anti-advertising law inside of it. So you cannot go to GDC with the intention of actually advertising your game because they won't allow it. The only thing GDC is good for is, like I said, learning from other developers. And in some cases, you don't even learn anything from other developers. Like maybe sometimes You get like a guy that comes up and is like, how I made $1 billion off Frogger, right?
Yeah.
Like if Andy Sum went up there and talked about Crossy Road, I'd be like, okay, cool, that makes sense. That's a really interesting story. But at the same time, it's like you can learn like anything that you want to learn from GDC in terms of like developer talks. They put them in the vault anyway, so you don't even need to go to GDC to get access to that.
But then, like, I've never been to a GDC, but I still know what GDC is. I know that they're a place for indie games because that's where the indie game awards are, right? So, like, I still get the news from GDC and from the indie game summit or whatever that's like right before it, and I've never been to one. So that like, that's the place for indies to go to get heard about, right?
I wouldn't necessarily say so. If you want to get noticed as an indie developer and you're hell bent on going to an event, PAX or Gamescom are the best places for you, without a doubt, because they are actually trade fairs. And that's the place where people can go and sort of play your game. And like, here's the thing that trade fairs are good for: business people like me who want to go there and find a product to put to their product lineup, and basically middleware developers. So people who are making like software that makes it easier to put trees inside of your game, for example. They're the best type of products to sell at an event. If you're going there and you've paid money to have your game on like the trade show floor, which is to say the big sort of space where people walk around and be like, "Ooh, look at that," and "Ooh, look at that."
The Indiecade thing where you can walk around and be like, "Hey, there's a game."
Sure, but all those games in Indiecade, and this is where the business comes down. There's like an IGF style thing that happens at every one of these events, and those games that get into those things are decided months and months and months before the event even starts, and the only reason they're there is because they're participating in that award ceremony. So even if you had, but then you still have to pay for it. Right? You still have to pay for it. So the only reason I would ever show up to one of those things as a developer is if there's a chance that my game is getting an award. That's pretty much it.
That's fair. But then awards also mean a little bit of press for people that aren't there and don't know.
Exactly. That's pretty much it. But at that point, you've done your duty. Like if you're like a nominee in this thing, then you're going to get press. Like, so it's worthwhile just participating for that alone. But when you're on the show floor, imagine 4 days of your life. Okay, I want you to imagine this: 4 days of your life with an extra 1 day thrown in for setup. So you get there a day early, and you're basically chained. This is as a developer when your time is important. Money is, you're spending a lot of money to be here. So the only benefits you're getting are very hard to come by. So basically, you're chained to a desk because you can't leave, because you can't afford to pay people to be there on your behalf. And even if you could afford to pay people to be there on your behalf, they will never be able to answer the questions that come at them like you can. Right? That's just rule number one. So you're there for 4 days. You're chained to this fucking desk. And the type of people that are coming up and playing the game are the type of people that, like, you know how, like, have you ever been to a GameStop where they show like a video game, or a Target or something like that, and they have a video game playing at a thing? Or like just a booth with like a console playing, right?
Like a console and like one of the controllers locked to it.
Who do you normally see playing those games?
I don't know. I haven't been to a game store in forever.
But I can answer that. It's mostly like really young teenagers.
Yeah.
Right. Really young teenagers and young people, basically. These aren't the type of people that are going to buy your game. They'll play it. They'll play a video game because it's a video game, but they're not going to buy their game. The games they're going to buy are like, Overwatch or
Call of Duty.
Exactly. Right. That's the type of game they're going to buy because that's what all their friends are playing.
Raid Shadow Legends.
God.
Exactly. Raid Shadow Legends is a perfect example. But they're never going to buy that game because that's just who they are. So the people that are coming up to your desk, like you can be like, oh yeah, just put your email down here and we'll send you information. Completely useless. 100% completely useless. So unless you're getting an award, don't go to a fucking event. And if you are going to go to an event because you want to do business, not because you want a booth. If you have a booth there, you're wasting fuckloads of money. Anyway, I'm sorry. You kind of like open the coconut here for me a little.
Yeah, but well, you know more of the inside baseball than any of us do.
I remember you talking about when you went to Gamescom. You said, didn't you say you pretty much just went there for networking?
Yeah, I went there to find games to publish, and one of the games that I found there to publish ended up being one of our best sellers of all time, and sells like, 20 to 30,000 units on the Switch per month consistently. So, these types of things are really good. Like the reason I talk to these guys, not because it's a game that I like, but because I saw how many people were lining up to play this game. And it was just some fucking game, like racing game. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's very strange.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't even on the Switch at the time. It was on the Sony PlayStation. So it was like definitely a weird one. But, yeah, I don't know what my point was anymore. Hey, so let me ask you guys. This is something I've been wanting to ask you guys. How is it with the corona in your countries?
All right, I want you to imagine that in every other country in the world, intelligent people are taking an event very seriously. They're establishing barricades by testing for a virus. They are restricting travel. And at every level of government, people are acknowledging that coronavirus exists. But you live in a hellscape where your highest level leader probably has the virus already, which he got by going to a conservative super PAC meeting and saying coronavirus is a hoax while he's there. All right. Then he passed it to a congressman and the vice president who was in charge of coronavirus. All right. Now, there's no travel restrictions. There's no testing. Information that is necessary to the public relief is being restricted. People are losing their jobs for saying, hey, it's way worse than we thought it was. There's 1,000 cases. They're losing their jobs. The federal government is just like, you're fired. You leaked information. So in order to stop those people from leaking information, now we're classifying with government secrecy levels all information revolving around coronavirus so that only the vice president can spend that information. So imagine that there is a deadly plague you have no protections against that's already in your country that 1,000 people are infected with, and that's only the people that have been tested, and you can only be tested if you're proven to be infected. So you definitely have to have it already and be deathly ill for them to test you.
And it's like, what, people a 12-day incubation time?
There are people that are saying, I had the flu. I think it might be coronavirus. How do I get tested? Everyone says, talk to the Department of Health. Department of Health says, talk to your local emergency care center. The emergency care center says, talk to the Department of Health. They're like, okay, I'm going to break this up. I'm going to go to the ER. They go to the ER, and they're like, first, get out of the ER. You can't be in here if you got coronavirus. Second, call the Department of Health. So they're like, okay, fine. I'm going to call the CDC. The CDC says, call the Department of Health. Department of Health says, go to your local urgent care center. There is no people in charge in the United States right now of coronavirus response. One of the first things Trump did was fire all of them and reduce their budget by an enormous amount of money to cover his tax cuts. Yep. So we have no one in charge. No one knows who they're supposed to go to. You can't get tested, and there's no protection from it. And not only are we pretending like it doesn't exist by saying it's a Democratic hoax, but our response to it isn't to tell people to stop going outside. Our response to it is buy stocks so the market doesn't crash. So, Dave, I want to tell you, things in America are fucked really badly right now.
Look.
This is the level of response to this is the prequel. It is the prologue to a disaster movie about a fucking virus that kills millions of people in the United States.
This is
The
Zero
hero
20
would
years
show
later.
up and be like, I have to save the United States. All I've got is my shotgun, my axe, and my bad attitude. And then they'd be like, but how did the United States fall to this? Here's a 2-paragraph lesson why. And it would start with President Trump is a fucking idiot.
So Dave, you know when we played the Division together? It's kind of like that.
And about this.
So let me explain how it is over here in Poland.
2 million
Okay.
people could die from this, Dave. That's the
I'm
bottom line.
I'm waiting for Florida. Like 2/3 of Florida's population is just going to kill over.
Yeah,
Like Southeast
bad.
Florida, where all the old people are, is just fucked.
Bad.
Yeah. So this is what it's like over in Poland right now. So, we have 30 confirmed cases, and as of like 2 days ago, that one number was like 16. The thing about Poland is the government is incredibly Christian, to the
Mhm.
point where they're like banning homosexuals.
So they're trying
that's
to pray
getting
the
popular around
coronavirus
the world.
away.
We can't ban
they're-
homosexuals here in the United States. We just ban trans people now.
Yeah, so they're banning homosexuals and trans and all that shit. But that's neither here nor there for the corona stuff. But basically, so to put it in perspective, they recently paid like one of the things that this government does is they don't pay for medical stuff, right? Like there is a charity that this year or last year raised, and it's one dude runs this charity. And the government absolutely fucking hates this guy. And so there's public access television, and then there's like there's privatized television. And the privatized television is the stuff you want to watch because the public stuff is all government run, right? So anytime that this gentleman shows up on a public channel, his face is blurred, his voice is blurred, his logos are blurred, all that sort of stuff. So this guy raised like, 183 million zlotys or PLN for buying basic medical stuff. Like he's the only reason where like right now in Poland, if you have a child, like if a baby is born, it's tested to see whether or not it's deaf, right? He's the only reason that they have the stuff to do that. So to put that in perspective, very recently, the Polish government paid 2 billion zlotys, which is like, roughly about, what would that be? Like a quarter of that in USD, basically, to a public access television station, just to promote the government, right? Like that's what it does. So now that we don't have this money, no one in Poland can get tested for the coronavirus because the government doesn't have enough money to pay for the testing. So because of that, they're just like, oh, it's only 16 people in the entire Poland has been infected with the coronavirus. But in reality, those numbers are probably much like our neighbors, like much, much higher, right? So as of today, the government has shut down all schools, shut down all like public areas like cinemas and shopping malls and stuff like that, like basically where people gather. And they're actually starting to take it a little seriously, which is really nice to see. So it's the shit is essentially hitting the fans here in Poland. We've got stocks of food and water and all that stuff here in the house.
I just got done buying another 10 days worth of food today. Tomorrow I'm going to the gym, I'm picking up my medication, and for the next 2 weeks I'm gonna self-quarantine. Because when my mom gets back from South America, if I have coronavirus when I pick her up, she'll die. She's old as fuck and she's immunocompromised. She will literally die. So that's not happening.
Yeah, it's
and not
it's
everyone has the financial capability to set aside that amount of food and that amount of work days. 2 weeks worth of food and supplies and not work time. It's ridiculous that people literally cannot live like this.
Yeah, there needs to be, I mean, if we had a competent government, there would be something going as like, hey, all whatever
Our response is
override.
cut payroll taxes.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying.
Well, it sounds like you'll get paid more money the amount of money the individual person paid will be so incredibly small.
Yeah.
And the problem is, in order to get payroll taxes to matter, you have to come into work, which you're not doing if there's a fucking viral outbreak. The only person who benefits from this are business owners with hundreds of thousands of employees. The consistent response from our government is make sure the stock market doesn't falter. And it is going to falter. The stock market had all of the things.
Didn't it hit a low a few days ago?
Yeah, it's at the lowest it's been in a while.
Today.
It's been hitting low, like consistent,
listen,
like new low, like for like a week.
Yeah, so it fucking dropped off, and then it rose. It keeps rising back up every day because investors are like, "Oh, President Trump said he's going to have a big response today," and then they're like, "Oh, President Trump didn't show up for the big response meeting. All right, well, let's drop 1,000 points."
Mm-hmm. I hate to be like, you guys are all in the shit, and I'm like, we got our first confirmed case like yesterday, and they're not even here.
Bigger.
They're on a cruise ship in San Francisco.
No, you guys are going to get it all from the U.S. border.
Yeah, well, like 2 days from now, after the U.S. explodes into viral town, then we're going to get fucked because I'm only 3 hours from the border. So.
I mean, there's 1,000 cases in America, and like a huge majority are in New York City and the New York area. There's almost zero chance it hasn't spread into Canada at this point.
Oh,
well, it's in Canada, but in my
it won't show up
province,
for 5 to 14 days.
In my specific province, we're the middle of Canada, in the middle of fucking nowhere. So, like, there's 2 confirmed cases to our left province neighbor, and the only confirmed case of a Saskatchewan resident having coronavirus is on a cruise ship outside of San Francisco right now.
Yeah.
But the other thing that's worth pointing out too, and this was a really interesting observation. Italy is probably doing the best when it comes to the corona stuff. Mostly because
they're
well, it's not so much that, but they're the ones that are spending the absolute most on identifying the coronavirus. So basically, what you're seeing in Italy is probably, and also it's worth pointing out, why the numbers are so skewed over there is because the median of elderly aged people in Italy is so much higher. It's like 7% higher than the rest of the entire globe. That's why there's so many reported cases. It's because of the fact that people are getting diagnosed correctly and people are actually seeking proper treatment over there, and they were the fastest to respond when it comes to doing a lockdown and restricting travel and all that sort of stuff.
I mean, look, here's the deal. In 2009, H1N1 was a big deal, all right? It started spreading across the world. It wasn't a global pandemic like this. It was a serious concern, but it wasn't killing people at any rate. At that time, Mexico shut their whole fucking country down overnight. They said, nobody in or out, stop going to public places, no shipping, no, air flights. We're not sending goods out. Their economy dropped 40% overnight. And you know what? It didn't leave Mexico. It fucking got contained, and they dealt with it very fast. America is so selfish, we couldn't get close to that level of response.
Damn.
If we tried to do that, if by some miracle the federal government attempted to do that, like so many states would be like, states' rights, you can't do that. Take our guns, government, freedom. Eagles.
I mean, I also worry about Australia, to be honest, as well. They have
look, Australia is a very spread out country. 1 and 2,
No. It's not so much that. You got to remember that Australia is like okay. So rural Australia is fucked for number one, because people need to converse with other people. So in rural Australia, people are going to be meeting up with each other regardless, because they just can't live by themselves for a month in their own home. Like they just can't do that.
Are you telling me a swag man can't head down by the Billabong under the shade of a coolabah tree?
Oh
That's ridiculous, Dave. He's just trying to waltz Matilda, okay?
All right, okay. But when it like what I'm saying is like if there's already cases in Australia. There's 30. Last time I checked, there was 30 confirmed cases. I think that Australia is either going to be really well off because they'll contain it and then they won't get any more, or it'll spread and people won't be able to get out of that country.
I gotta tell you, Australia has one of the most restrictive coming into the country protocols in the entire world.
I know.
I know you know that, but the audience might not know that.
So that's what I'm saying.
I'm not, listen, they pulled me aside for swine flu when I got there because I was dehydrated. I'd spent 40 hours in a sealed metal pressure container. I needed to go to the bathroom. I needed to drink something, and they were like, "You have elevated blood temperature. You need to get checked for swine flu." And I'm like, "No, I've been in the desert for 40 hours. Water."
If you want to bring your dog over to Australia, it needs to be quarantined for 6 months, regardless. Yeah, right? Your dog will just be by itself for 6 months.
Yeah.
But having said that, what I'm saying is, it might already be too late. You know what I mean? There might already be too much stuff in Australia, and that kind of scares me a little bit.
I guess it also will depend on your prime minister's response, because he didn't do so well when the whole country was on fire.
Well, that's because he's a fucking wanker.
I love when that guy was like, "Let me shake this firefighter's hand." He reaches out, he like grabs the person and shakes their hand, and the dude's like, "Get your fucking hand off me, you bitch." Yeah.
I would have loved if he would have decked him. Would have been fucking hilarious.
I mean, it's like Joe Biden talking to this guy today. He's just like, "You get out of my face. Let's drop down and do 100 push-ups. I'll prove to you that I'm right." And I'm like, Joe Biden, you're like 99 years old. There's no way you could do 100 push-ups. And why does that matter? Why would doing 100 push-ups make you correct in an argument?
Trying to work off all the ice cream,
muscles.
As much as he breathes on other people, you think he would lose some calories.
I'm real sorry to bring it up, but it's like it's one of the things that's been sitting on my brain. I hate the fact that there's some sort of weird miasma phantom floating around that can fuck up your entire life.
Man.
I mean, look, the thing is, it's not going to kill us, most of us. Well, maybe Kane.
Well, I mean, it's what a mild case for people roughly our age is what it's supposed to be the equivalent of pneumonia.
Yeah, it's not going to be that bad, but the problem is when you have it, you give it to everyone around you.
Mm-hmm.
People who would normally get a flu vaccine every year, immunocompromised, super young, super old, people who are at risk, people with diabetes, etc., etc., etc. All those people have no defense against coronavirus, and you could give it to them and not know until 5 days later that you're symptomatic, and then they're like, "Oh shit, well, I guess I'm fucking dying now. Thanks."
Man.
Yeah. I'm already hunkered up in my house. I've tried to convince my wife to not go into her work, but she said that she wants to finish out the week, and then I'm basically gonna have to lock her up in the house so that she doesn't go outside or something. Because
wow.
Okay, let me
listen. Let me tell you something. I was just reading a thing on Reddit where they were like, really selfish boyfriends who lock their girlfriends up in the house and never let them leave, and you're starting to send some flags up for me, man.
Well, okay, let me explain where she works. In Warsaw, there is a section of Warsaw that is affectionately referred to as Mordor.
Wow. That's fucking legit as fuck.
That's like, because it is the CBD of Warsaw. There are so many people in there. Like, it is just like sardine can fucking people in this small area of Warsaw, and is without a doubt like the scariest place to go to during a epidemic level fucking virus.
Yeah, that's like an exponential vector right there.
Yeah.
That's like oh man, I wonder if Los Angeles is safe during the zombie apocalypse. Nah,
No.
bro.
First thing you do is get away from any major city and stay the fuck away from grocery stores.
And I work from home and very rarely have human contact. So
it hit me.
I
think
also
it was
rarely have human contact.
like last night. I mean, I barely classify as human. But
Dreamers
so
are gonna have a great time during this thing, man.
I'm
Everyone's
replaying the new Division expansion. It's like, it's all about disease stuff. And then the Warhammer book I'm listening to, there's a chapter where there's this massive, like, essentially plague city that they've walled off, and they're sitting on top of the wall trying, like, essentially just shooting anything that comes at them, plague zombies or normal people, because they're infected. I'm like, wow, like all the media I'm consuming has a massive plague element to it. I'm like, well, shit.
All right, well, here's the deal. 35 minutes ago, President Trump went on television to announce the following. 1,
Oh boy.
30-day travel ban from Europe. Remember that stock market we were talking about? It just lost 400 points in 10 minutes.
Jesus Christ.
nice.
It was what down 1,000 before?
No, it's down like
So
1,400 points.
What does
today.
the travel ban mean? Like, you're not allowed to
Cannot
travel
come
to
from
America?
Europe to the United States for the next 30 days via any form of transportation.
Was Spoots fucked?
United States, or I'm sorry, the United Kingdom is
Excluded?
but he's in
Okay.
Northern Ireland, I believe. Right? No, he went to Dublin.
Yeah.
No, you went to Dublin.
I
Didn't he say he
actually
was on,
don't know
like, the
whether
south-
Dublin is in Northern or Southern Ireland.
Didn't he
I
say
think
he was
it's
in like the southwestern side?
Yeah, I
I
think he's in
mean, if-
Ireland proper. I don't think he's in North
If
Ireland.
so, he's not going to be able to come back because that's its own country.
Yep,
That's
it's part of the
technically-
EU.
That's part of the United, or that's part of the EU. So
Yeah. I'm pretty sure he went to Ireland proper.
Well, that's kind of what he wanted to happen, right? He did say that. He was like, yeah, I'll
Yeah.
just drink beer. It's like-
it's Dublin in Northern Ireland. It's in the Republic of Ireland, which I don't know whether that's northern or
no,
southern.
That's
It's in the north. Okay.
Oh, is
so
it?
he
Oh,
is
okay.
in Northern Ireland, which means he's technically part of the United Kingdom. As long as he doesn't go to South Ireland, he'll be fine. And that's assuming that they don't change the rules for the United Kingdom in the next 30 days.
Yeah.
So
what else did he say?
the Senate Republicans have blocked another emergency funding bill for coronavirus testing. And
Nice.
Trump is saying the number of cases is lowering, which isn't possible because cases don't disappear.
That's not how pandemics work.
And there are twice as many cases today in Boston as there were this morning.
Cases are lowering in Korea because they're handing out free tests 1,000 a day.
Correct. It's 100,000 a day.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. There was a time where a plane crash of hundreds of people would be a noteworthy news event, and we would all be very sad about it for like a month. A plane worth of people are dying every day of coronavirus.
Yep.
So, and that number is going to go exponential as it spreads across the United States.
And-
because once again, we've chosen to do literally nothing about it. Closing the border
And you wouldn't even
with
have to
the
close
EU
off-
is not going to slow the number of
Yeah.
cases we already have here.
You'd have to shut down. You'd have to pretty much shut down Seattle, LA, and New York
Seattle's already
City.
fucked.
Would it?
I'm just saying,
if
those are the three
America
big
right
English points.
now, if America right now said, because the Polish government has also said, if you can work from home, work from home. Only non-essential jobs should be traveling
Yeah,
right
we're
now.
only doing
If-
that
if
on a
America
state
said-
level and only in states that have had a couple hundred cases.
All right. So if America said right now, entire America wide, no more school, right? Kids stay home from school, and you need to work from home if you can work from home, right? If they said that, would the country grind to a halt? I imagine a lot of people would have a lot of problems with kids.
We
Isn't
have
it-
no.
Isn't Seattle already doing that pretty much? And
Yes.
then isn't Yale closing and sending all
The
the people
number of
home?
colleges are going to online only, but that's colleges that can afford to do that.
Yeah.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
And the people and the kids that are like, well, I paid tuition and I can't afford to go home, so I guess I'm gonna just stay here.
here's the thing, Dave. There are a number of children in public schools in the United States, a shockingly large percentage of which could not get lunch in the middle of the day if they didn't go to school.
Yep.
Their parents
That's
are not
what I was
available. Their
thinking,
parents
yeah,
are
so-
working, and they don't have the money to give the kid lunch money every day.
Yeah.
Their budget could not cover $5-10 a day for a kid's lunch every single day. That's how
I know.
tight finances are in the United States.
I know when I was super young, I know I got breakfast at school because we couldn't afford. I could like we were just that's back when
Yeah.
like it's like right after I think it's
I'm
right
there.
when my dad got
I
out
had
of the
school
Navy.
lunch for many years. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we crossed that threshold, but yeah, for my like elementary school years, we were all like we were super poor. So I know if I couldn't get school break, like if I wasn't going to school, I didn't get I mean, rarely could get breakfast in the morning. That's just how it works.
Yeah,
so
there's no
I know that all
social
too well.
safety net in America. If this
So
thing goes big, we're fucked.
So how bad would it actually be for most families, do you think?
Really
Like the
bad.
average median family.
The average median family in the
America.
United States does not have $500 set aside for an emergency. That means if they can't work
Really?
for 2 weeks, and that's the minimum. The minimum quarantine time is 14 days. The maximum is going to be more like 30 to 40. Okay? If they didn't work for 2 weeks, they'd have to choose between rent, utilities, and food. Pick one.
Yeah.
Okay?
So,
That's what they have on
so
hand.
if we were to come up with some sort of scheme, and it doesn't have to be very well thought out, but it just has to be like an idea process here of how America would need to handle the coronavirus. By the sounds of it, it would be allow utility companies to. I mean, the government would
privately
have
owned.
to subsidize something for utilities.
I mean,
right?
in every other country in the world, the response is the government will take care of it. We're gonna, cover this. We're gonna use national social services, national health services. We'll make sure, in some countries they're saying, Italy said no mortgage payments, no rental payments, whole month, we're done. Can't do it. It's now illegal. In Japan, they're saying, don't worry about getting masks. We're gonna cover it. You try to sell masks under the table, you get a year in jail. We're going to cover this mask thing. All right?
Yeah,
in America,
in
nothing.
I was reading that it was like, depending on what last year you were born on, you can buy 2 masks per day per person. And if you have a kid, you can buy it at the same time as long as you have their birth certificate with you or
I don't
something.
know. I'll tell
was
you,
some
I was
weird
in
thing.
Costco today and I saw some Asian people wearing masks and I was like, I'm betting they're not sick. I bet they just don't want other people to think that because they're Asian, they're sick. Because there's no cases in Delaware right now, so.
Yeah. There's a lot of
I stay away from them though, because if they are sick, I don't fucking want it.
I mean, I'd stay away
Get
from
the 30-foot bubble from them.
But yeah, I'm super glad. See, we have both diesel, we have both a multi-fuel generator. Plus, like last month, I think our power bill was less than $12 because we have our entire roof is covered in solar panels. We generate almost enough solar power per month just into solar to completely pay for our. And that's even before and that's now when it gets more sun during the later spring and summer, we'll actually be. I think we get credited from the power company. So we can completely disconnect from the grid and have power for like as long as we don't turn like we could cut off. Because we have a garage freezer for like big stuff. We could cut that off and then be completely like power neutral in the house that's with AC running, fridge, hot water heater, everything. We just have to cut the big freezer out in the garage off. And then, I mean, okay, we lose a couple of things of like, oh, it's a giant ass bag of green beans or whatever the fuck. It's like, okay, you lose that, but then we're completely power neutral, disconnected from the grid.
So, what was hearing you say that actually reminded me. I remember like months ago, like 2019, like middle of 2019, I was reading about how Post Malone bought a fucking, like a house that was designed to withstand a fucking like the apocalypse basically.
Yeah.
And I was thinking to myself, why the fuck would you do that? I mean, there's no reason to do anything like that. He's probably there right now. He's probably there in his like fucking apocalypse shelter, living it up. And I was just thinking to myself, man, fucking imagine not the foresight, but like just having the amount of disposable income where you could just be like, yeah, this area is just for me when the zombies attack, right? Like those people would be probably pretty
I
good
mean,
right now.
Well, I mean,
listen,
that's
those are the
been-
guys that are going to turn into quest giver NPCs in the fucking
That's
aftermath.
even if you go, Dave, even if you go all the way back to like the bubonic plague days, all the rich people fucked off to the countryside.
I'm
all
just
the
telling you,
poor
man.
people stuck in
They're going to be
cities.
like, bring me a case of Coca-Cola. I want a
Next-
Twinkie.
That's what you
Next-
do, man. You get a couple million. If you get that rich, like you get Post Malone money, what you do is you buy one of those old missile silos up in like North and South Dakota
Dude,
that can like
next,
support
next
like.
week, Post Malone's gonna have a forehead tattoo of an exclamation mark.
All right, so
Nah,
look, here's the deal.
the only people inside of his shelter are him, his tattoo artist.
And
Probably-
Anya, who is still
probably-
singing in Sindarin, the elven language created by J.R.R. Tolkien.
Probably like a bunch of his like beat maker and producer friends because they probably just hang out at the
All
I
right,
mean,
yeah.
Yeah.
on suite
Post Malone
production studio.
spends $4.3 million on a apocalypse shelter.
Yeah, that. Listen,
no,
if I
this
had
is
that
a
kind
real
of money,
thing.
that's what I'd do.
Still less than most of those fucking stupid ass houses with rooms you'll never use.
So,
So,
here's the deal.
It's
The
in Utah. Is Utah fucked right now? Like how?
Utah's
I mean,
perfectly
no,
fine. There's zero
yeah.
cases there.
And it's there's a lot of Utah that's just in the middle of bumfuck. Because most of you, whenever someone says Utah, I just Salt Lake City.
I mean, there's
This
going to
is-
be a huge number of cult compounds in Utah that will survive
Yeah.
this really easily.
Yeah.
Didn't Bezos just have like a $160 billion house built or 160 million?
Yeah,
Bezos is fine.
Yeah,
He
he's
has
gonna
enough
be fine.
money to like. He's like.
Yeah.
I mean,
No,
isn't he
fine.
still working through that divorce?
I think they're already done with that. I mean,
I was
even
under the
after
impression
that.
that they were still covering the he's divorced, but they're still dividing up the assets.
Yeah.
We're now
Yeah.
in a global bear market. Almost every market in the entire world, from President Trump's announcement 47 minutes ago, has dropped into 20% drop over the last 3 months. And all of the tools that the United States would use to help control the economy to drag it out of a recession, we were already using to sugar boost the economy up to the levels that it's at right now. So we've been deficit spending, and we've already dropped interest rates to ridiculously low levels, basically unprecedentedly low levels. So
So if
all
you
the things
have-
we would use to say, hey, recession, go away. We've already used all of them to make the economy look better. When this crash happens,
Yep.
even after coronavirus is gone, yeah, the economy will recover a little bit, but it's going to be a long time before we're back up at this 2,800 level. 28,000.
So if you're young and you have any disposable income at all, that whole buy low, sell high thing, do it.
I mean, in 2016, I took a few $100,000 out of the market, and I've been waiting for President Trump to fuck off so that I can put it back in the market because it's fucking ridiculous right now. He lies constantly. The market responds to it. He's like, we just signed a great trade deal with China. And China, 10 minutes later, is like, no, we didn't sign a trade deal with them. And the market's like, President Trump signed a trade deal plus 1,000 points. And then, like, Trump lied. Plus 500 points. This
Did
is
you-
great. This is the best economy we've ever had.
There
Tax
was
cuts
a-
and deficit spending. And I'm just like, oh my God. Are you
There
fucking
was
kidding me?
there's a story about how all the terror stuff or whatever, and he had misspoke. He's like, aha, he's like, yes, I made it so that everyone has to pay more for, I don't remember if it's steel or aluminum or whatever, but he talked to the other guys, like the guy's like, yeah, I have to buy that steel and aluminum and it's costing me like 30% more, and I've had to lay off like this many people because he opened his fucking mouth like the wrong guy.
Mhm.
Yeah. I know some people in the manufacturing segment that are just they've had to lay off so many people because of
I
this
mean,
fucking
it's
tariff
incredible
shit.
the level of loyalty people show President Trump. They live in a
Just
completely different world where
Fucking-
94% of Republicans believe that coronavirus is a hoax. It's not happening, but buy a fuck ton of toilet paper and hand sanitizer because the Chinese are invading us with their secret virus. And I'm just like, where do you
Yeah.
get your information from? Alex
So-
Jones is on
so-
television right now trying to sell coronavirus killing toothpaste. This is a man who said that Sandy Hook, was that the name of the school that
Yeah,
got shut
Sandy
up?
Hook was a
He
hoax.
said it was a fake massacre. It was just actors who fake died. And then people took him
Under
to
the
court
frog
because he
skate.
was lying. And his wife and children showed up and he was breaking down like, I'm sorry, I lied. Because that's what I do. I just lie for a living. I'm lying right now in the middle of a courtroom.
Wait,
and now people
is
trust him to buy coronavirus killing toothpaste. These are the people that we're contending with in the United States.
The water's turning to frickin' frogs gay.
Yeah, the water's turning to frickin' frogs gay. Jeez.
The funny thing is there's actually some truth to that, even though he blew it out of the thing, because there's some frogs that it's caused them to like do a weird gender thing, but it was just like, blown way out of proportion. But it was
frog
like
species that switch between gender.
I know it was something to do with there were some chemicals and some I can't remember wherever the study was done that it was accelerating like the rate at which they do that, but it was just like someone took that and they just like wrote fucking science fiction with it pretty much. It's
right. The NBA just suspended the entire season.
Wow, March Madness.
One of the players
over.
touched all of the mics at a news conference as a joke, and then it turned out today he has coronavirus. So everybody that touched those mics as well now could be infected, and he infected a whole room full of reporters and players, and they have all been infecting everybody. And
oh fuck this!
Yeah,
world
look at this Matt
living.
Gaetz guy. He's a fucking congressman. He wore a gas mask into the Capitol building during a vote because he was like, coronavirus is a hoax. Guess what, motherfucker? Matt Gaetz has coronavirus. Yeah, and a guy in his district died the very next day of coronavirus. Turns out Matt Gaetz is the guy who infected the president and vice president. He's so fucking dumb. He's incredibly stupid.
Yeah, I can't even be mad. I'm just flabbergasted.
Shit is like, what would be funny if I wore a gas mask to the fucking workplace. I'm from Florida. Sorry, people from Florida.
No.
Matt Gaetz is a dipshit. If you treat this like a joke and you die from it,
I don't even know.
I don't know what to say to that.
From. What district? Do you know what district he's from?
I don't know. I mean, we can just Google Matt Gaetz
Yeah,
district and the capital.
If it's from southeastern Florida, I would not be surprised.
He's from Florida 1st District.
See, 1st District is
Hollywood.
If there is a God,
that's up by
Darwinism.
Pensacola.
Darwinism, please.
Yeah, that's up by that's Pensacola and Destin and all that shit.
Yep.
So
The Air
okay,
Force
here's
Base.
another question.
All right, great.
Getting
up now.
food, getting food and all that. Yep, that's just smart. Getting medication, also smart. Getting toilet paper.
Water.
Yep, smart.
No, listen.
All that stuff.
Toilet paper and all that stuff, I buy in ultra bulk. I'm talking,
Yeah.
I have like 40 back in the basement. I mean,
It's
I'm
just
in the
value.
basement, but in the unfinished basement, I got like 40 back there, When you have the kind of funds that you can buy in bulk, it works out because you're saving a huge amount of money. It's just,
that's why
that's why
Costco
Costco is
exists.
so great for the average person.
Yeah, that's why
Anyway.
Costco exists.
You know what else is great?
what
Costco
about-
$1.50 hot dogs with a free 20-ounce drink.
Look, I'm more of a chicken parm man myself. Or
You know what else
so-
is great? Raid Shadow
My
Legends.
question.
shut the fuck up.
My
I'm
Raid Shadow
sorry.
hot
is-
dogs.
I'm really worked up right now. I've been burning internally for the whole coronavirus debacle since the
Yeah.
very first day where they were like, yep, some dumbass decided to eat fucking rare meat from some animal that's completely unidentified, and now he's fucking puking everywhere. And he died.
So my question is, what are you guys doing in terms of hoarding entertainment?
I mean, I have a tablet, and
I've got-
I have a computer.
I've got 8 terabytes worth of video games.
I'm a
So let's-
tabletop
let's-
GM, so if I spend 14 days offline, I'm sure I'll just make a new campaign by the end
I
of
was about to say there were a ton of on the D&D meme subreddit about it is now our time. Roll 20, brothers, rejoice.
I have a Nintendo
Well, I
Switch,
mean,
and I
like-
still need to beat Octopath Traveler.
Most
Breath
of
the
my
Wild.
employers are Twitch streamers, so work doesn't stop for me.
So let's hypothetically say that for whatever reason, the worst comes down and we have to hunker in our buildings for like maybe 2 months and there's no power.
Jesus Christ.
Good luck with
Yeah.
that's what I tell
I don't
people.
know
Good
that
luck with that no
anybody's-
power thing.
Anybody but some fucking hoarder in a silo in the middle of Kansas is ready for a 2-month lockdown.
But let's say
But sure,
hypothetically
let's
say that
entertain
you're let's entertain this idea because this is what this show is about. It's about entertaining ideas.
No, that's not even close to what this show's about. But sure.
Let's play it 2 months. Let's play it.
Look at the way Dave is laying back. I mean, of course,
This is
Yeah.
this is a D&D scenario of like, what if no power for 2 months?
Yeah, so you got all the food, all the water, all the poo-poo paper you could possibly want. What do you have saved up in your home right now that you would physically have for entertainment for 2 months?
Nintendo
Well,
Switch.
the people who are in your home right now are the people that are with you.
So my cat
Right?
Amore, and that's it.
Right.
Yeah, and you
Actually,
have,
at the end of the 2 months, Amore would be dead because I don't have 2 months worth of food for Amore.
no, you do in this scenario.
Okay,
You,
in
you
this
hypothetically
scenario,
have everything.
I
you-
wish that
you
I
need
didn't
to.
spend 2 months with Amore. She bit me
So you-
today. I'm fucking so pissed. I was like,
I
it's
mean,
been like a year since you bit me, you little
I was,
piece
about,
of
I was about
shit.
to say my cat bites me every day, like, because his whole thing is he challenges me to single combat. Like that's what he does.
She hits me and she scratches me, but biting is very
My
rare.
cat doesn't scratch. He bites. He's the complete
So
opposite.
you have no power. So anything you've got saved.
I have a power generator. And
Okay.
3 tanks of kerosene.
Yeah, that's not 2 months worth of fuel though.
And it would be real weird for me to lose power because I'm within 25 miles of 5 nuclear power generators.
Oh, but it has. But
My
there is,
house is
like,
hooked
there's
up
no
to
power to your.
875k line.
Okay. All right, Mr. Shelter, but there's no power going
It's
to your
a
home.
shelter. It's just that, my house was built like 10 years ago at the crux of a very nice.
Just play the hypothetical, bitch. Jesus Christ. What
If
do you
I
have
had
in your
no
home
power,
right now?
I have a bookshelf that's about 40 feet long and 10 feet tall. So I'm
Have you?
assuming
But
read
have
some
you
books.
read all those books?
Yeah, I've already read them all. Man, I brought out my Animorphs collection one night. What the fuck are you talking about?
Oh yeah.
I have almost every BattleTech book that's been written in existence. I have all the Game of Thrones. I got all of the Brandon Sanderson. I got all the Wheel of Time. I probably would not.
So you wouldn't.
I would have
you
to
would
be
be
desperate to
perfectly
reread
fine.
Wheel of Time.
You'd be fine rereading all of the stuff that you've read already.
Yeah, I've already read some of them like 2 or 3 times.
Okay.
I
What
mean,
about you,
I would,
Andrew?
Listen,
What do you got?
I don't have original ideas when it comes to dungeon mastering, Dave. I would just be reading these things and write down like huge anime sword, war camps divided by factionalism. Each specializes in a specific type of military infantry. All right,
no one's
that's a
gonna
new
guess
campaign.
this one. No one's gonna guess this one.
Listen, sometimes when I make up entirely new characters, people fucking can't let them go, like Nile. Or what was the name of that guy? Kevane? Was that the name of the kid on the space station at the very beginning of Star Wars that everybody loved right up until I killed him? And Dave, you were like, no! Why would you take Kevane from us? And I was like, you spent like 10 minutes with Kevane and you were like, we love him! Kevane is everything to me! And I was like, okay, well,
Do you
he's
see
dead
my
now.
Kavane shirt? Do you see my Kavane hat?
I got Best Kavane's dad #1 mug right here.
Okay. Well, I mean, all right. Aside from Mr. Shelter and Mr. Shelter 0.20, what about you, Andrew? What do you got?
At the end of 2 months, when power comes back, I'm probably recording a whole bunch of music that I've written in the course of the last 2 months.
Oh, that
I
makes
got-
sense. Yeah.
Acoustic instruments all over the place back there. So
All gonna be anime music too, 100%.
I-
That's what
none
Andrew's
of it
getting
for
back
some
into.
reason-
For some reason, my mind just went to like the Twilight Zone where you're like, finally silence. I can play my acoustic guitars. Twang. String
Twang.
breaks.
Are you
I have-
referencing the episode where the guy's glasses break?
Yeah.
I have
Wow.
so
But
many,
I can read Braille, and then his fingers fall.
That's a throwback.
I have so many replacement strings. Like I do my own maintenance and all my shit.
See, that's Andrew's like chosen weapon is he uses guitar strings to garrote people from behind. This is it's stealthy.
I just use a broken guitar, like the neck and the body, and just
It's like the dude from the lead guitarist for Hammerfall. His guitar is actually in the shape of a giant warhammer.
I want to share a tweet real
Notice.
quick. Hashtag AshTravelGov. If I have a flight from Dublin, Ireland to London, UK, and then back, will I be allowed to the US for entry? I'm an American citizen, and my flight to the US will be back March 21st. At Sputnik_71.
Really?
Yep. Sputnik is worried he can't come home.
Oh no, Spoonie!
oh man.
Yeah. I'm just so glad with all this shit. Like, because we had debated whether or not we were going to invest in this whole, because the way the house market here in Florida is, everything moves incredibly fast. And essentially, if your house does not have solar panels on it, very quickly you will get overlooked. So we've made the investment to get the solar panels and the battery system. And then we had the generator before we had the solar put in. So it's like just disconnect. We literally just have a big like a pull switch, or we just pull it out and then we're disconnected from the grid. And it's like we got power, bitches. And most of the houses in our subdivision have solar panels as well. So I'd be surprised to see what actually.
You're Mr. Shelter 0.2.0. So
Okay, well,
actually,
I got
in
bad
the
news
course
for you,
of
Dave.
in the course of 2 months, I would probably freeze to death. Change my answer.
Tom Hanks and the crew of the Elvis movie in Australia are all testing positive for coronavirus. The number of cases in Australia is about to explode.
Yep.
I swear to fuck, if we lose Tom Hanks.
Tom Hanks.
Wait, no, I mean,
I have to go back. Earlier last month, Andrew, I was like, no one of significance has died in 2020. And Andrew was like, Kobe Bryant. And I was like, I don't know who that is. Oh, wait, that's that basketball guy. But it turns out he's actually a pretty cool dude. So,
Kobe Bryant.
My bad. I didn't know a lot about him. I'm not a sports person, but
Dude, he was a legend in those communities, man.
Yeah.
all I know is that the best dunks he ever did were when he dunked on the Trump administration on Twitter. Because I've gone back and looked at some of those, and they're pretty good.
No.
Oh man, how old is Tom Hanks? He's 63.
He's also Tom fucking Hanks. You got this. I mean, he's been trapped on an island. He was in World War II.
Are there plans to do drive-through coronavirus testing so we do not panic emergency rooms when people cough? Answer: no. We are trying to maintain the relationship between individuals and their healthcare providers. Everything about this administration is about money. They're like, you know what's best? Business.
Well, and it's also, they're very much doing the thing of, oh, if we didn't come up with the idea, shoot it down. It doesn't matter what it is. It's just, they're just to spite the other side. It's like, what the fuck? Come on. This is like, of all the times to fucking try and spite each other, really? You're going to do it fucking now? Like, go fuck yourself with a fucking cactus. Well, I was in the ER. I was in the ER Sunday at least, and I talked to, because my gastro stuff decided to have a nuclear fucking meltdown, and I was talking to nurses there, and I asked them, and they were talking about how they've got their fucking ducks in a row. So I guess it, like some parts of Florida, at least around here, because we're in between Daytona Beach and Orlando, and they were saying that they have all their plans in place and everything else. So I guess we'll see. But you're saying, Dave?
Stock market continuing to drop as we're talking.
Yep. Doesn't surprise me.
Buy the dip, everybody. The dip will not stop for a while.
Yeah.
We were the one, just four dudes talking. Well, the world ended.
You know, if I had to pick a way for the world to end, I mean, I just built a new AR-15. I guess I could decide it in one way or another.
Wow, that's dark, man. Let's take that to a different place. One final topic for tonight, because this conversation is so emotionally draining. I've been raging all night when I haven't been talking about the smooth gameplay and realistic visuals of Raid Shadow Legends.
Oh my fucking god.
I need something to let off some steam, man. I'm fucking dying here talking about coronavirus.
Just download the game.
I don't know anything about it.
The thing I've heard is it's not even a game. It's just designed just to make you spend money on shit.
If you want to go back to cool video game men's, what do you guys think about that new Call of Duty that dropped? The
that Battlezone stuff?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
that might be the first.
I haven't even played it.
Once they get their shit figured out, because the first, like, I'm watching streams of it, and it seems like they're still having some major issues.
I technically have it because I got a free copy of Modern Warfare when I bought my latest laptop.
I mean,
I haven't even touched it.
Free anyway.
It's free to play.
It's free.
Oh, that okay? No, I haven't.
Like, it just came out a couple of days ago, and it's like it's a gigantic download, and I don't even know if I have space for that on my game.
It's like 100 gigabytes or something like that.
The base game is 100 gigabytes. The BR on top of that is 20 gigabytes more.
It's 120 gigabytes
for a free-to-play BR game.
Yeah, that's a bit much. I mean, even GTA, I think, with all of its patch stuff, is still under 100.
Yeah, I think the biggest game I have on my drive right now is Warframe, because it
has Battle Royale games actually died then?
No. I know Apex still has a moderate thing. I know
Apex is still going.
I think I know it's kind of a parody, but I think what was it?
PUBG is still
Totally realistic battlegrounds or whatever, like the one that's just like fucking shenaniganry.
Tarkov's still going.
Tarkov's still got a lot of players.
You can chill with the Tarkovs. Their devs are kind of.
They are, but they still have a ton of people playing it. So,
if Riot doesn't have a BR in the works, I'll be very surprised.
Riot has Riot. Well, yeah, I mean, but they're working on that
Counter-Strike game.
It's a mix of Counter-Strike and Overwatch. That's what they're trying to nail. They're trying to hit both of those at once.
Fortnite is still gigantic.
Yeah.
Listen, Fortnite has been a blessing to the internet.
That's because all the kids went to go fucking play that.
Yeah, all of the fucking 13-year-olds who would be going, get a wheel gun, okay? Not a WAP. They're in Fortnite killing each other in meaningless battles where chance and luck are the only thing that I consistently got in the top 4 in solo ranks simply by staying in the center of the circle and hiding in things.
You just let people kill each
other. It takes no
other.
skill. Now, I've never gotten first place. I've never been good enough to beat the other person, the number 2, the number 1 player. But I've gotten number 2 pretty consistently in Fortnite just by hiding the whole time. It's just meaningless. The game, you could just hide the whole time and win.
That's also the problem with the Call of Duty BR right now. Because like Call of Duty, it seems like some of the mechanics that have been in there forever are in the BR, and it kind of rewards camping.
Yeah, it's just like DayZ. The people who hide at high locations with sniper rifles and have the time to sit there for an hour or two are always going to beat the people who have to search for food on the ground.
Well, the biggest
thing is all their stuff.
And claymores were a big issue for the last COD game.
From what I've heard, I mean, fucking claymores in Battlefield 2. It gives me fucking flashbacks. Don't you remind me? Can't even climb the ladders. I mean, any BR.
Are we talking
is
Bad
just
Company 2? Because let me tell you something.
No, Battlefield 2.
Listen, Bad Company 2, you can do some real shit.
Oh, I know.
Carl Gustav all day.
Oh yeah, fucking. But the
wasn't Bad Company 2 written by the same dude who wrote Star Wars Rogue One?
I don't remember.
I have no idea, but let me tell you something. I really like. What's his name? Gareth Edwards. I really like that movie.
But they no, like Battlefield 2, like back in the day, just claymores were. It was almost like Modern Warfare 2 with the claymore spam. It was ridiculous. Like there were some servers that once you were able to mod the game would remove them because it was just such a plague. It just ruined the game.
Gary Whitta, he's the same. He wrote the OG Prey for the 360. He wrote that game.
Besides, AT4 on helicopters all day long.
I thought he wrote one of those Bad Company games. I don't know. Name just pinged something in my brain.
Yeah, I think that's the plan, Dave. Let's see what else. Really got anything else to talk about?
Yes, I have a final point of topic.
Okay.
Today on Reddit, I saw on Ask Men's, what is one piece of advice?
Wait. Ask Men or Ask Men?
Ask Men.
There's a kilo in there.
Okay, so not Ask
Men.
They're guaranteed there are both those subreddits though.
Oh, for sure.
Oh, yeah. I'm gonna look that up right now. Is there an Ask Men? There has to be.
Probably.
Yeah.
Reddit.
Probably.
Anyway, you were saying, maybe.
What is the most important piece of advice you would give to other men? And you know what? I saw that title, and before I clicked on the thing, I was like, fuck, I don't know. The very first thing was, it's better to be alone and unhappy than it is to be in a relationship and unhappy about that relationship. And I thought, God damn, that's my whole life in one statement.
It's very subjective.
That is a knife that hit me in the heart right there. So I'm going to ask you, it doesn't have to be that dark. It could be positive and uplifting. But as we are normally 5 bearded bros, and my audience is 98.2% men, I will ask you, fellow men, what advice do you have for men about how to be a man? With all the force of a great typhoon. Like a raging tiger, mysterious as the dark side of the moon.
I'm trying to be a man. if you have a problem, mental or whatever wise, find somebody you can talk to about it.
That's a
Just
good one.
anybody, friend, family member, professional, just fucking, because
Vanilla
I know
Ice, you know, he's offered many times.
well, all my medical shit, I kept a lot of that shit bottled up for years, and it damn near fucking killed me multiple times. And it was like, once I finally started talking to people about it, I mean, it still sucks and it's still something I fucking deal with on a daily basis, but it was a lot better than just trying to, because there's that stigma of, oh, men shouldn't show whatever. It's like, fuck that. It's stupid. And if you have people around you that are like that, fuck them, get away from them. They're terrible people. But yeah, just fucking communication, like whether it's, you know, about anything really. I mean, not specifically bottling stuff up, just with anything, just fucking get it out. Don't let that shit sit there and fester. It doesn't do you any good.
So
I'm gonna say, oh
this-
no, please go ahead.
No, I mean continue. It's fine.
No, please. I insist.
Canadian standoff here.
Okay, so I have 3 rules that I've spent my entire life living by, and I think they've done me pretty good.
10 dual commandments, yeah.
Three rules, and
dual
I always
commandments.
tell this, and you know, I'm gonna have a kid. I will pass this on to the kid for damn sure, because it has been my moral compass throughout my entire life. Rule number 1: don't shit where you eat. That's pretty fucking obvious. Don't fuck up a good thing, basically. Don't ruin something that's good in your life by being a piece of shit, basically. Rule number 2: generally do whatever you want, right? Like that's the other one that I basically live my life by. Like, if I want to quit my job and move over to something else, there's literally no reason why I shouldn't be able to do that. And the third one is, and this is, I mean, my rules are kind of like weirdly written, but the third one is don't fuck a stranger in the ass, because there's so many wrong things that could go with that. And generally, that's just that can be read as like,
you know, listen,
be a kind person to strangers, but you know, it could also literally mean don't fuck a stranger in the ass.
I know. I saw a
pretty
thing the
good
other day
advice,
where
so.
people were like, should you have sex with someone without a condom? And some guy was like, if they're a blood donor, then they've been tested. I'm just like, holy shit, dude. You are STD Central right here. Are you kidding me? That's your go-to? If they're a blood donor? By the way, just a quick pro tip. If you go to donate blood right now, that's one of the only ways you can get coronavirus tested in the United States, because it's mandatory to be tested for coronavirus if you're giving blood.
I can't donate blood anyway because all the medications I'm on. My blood is fucked up.
Then just avoid getting coronavirus. I'm sure it'll be easy.
But that means you have to go into a place that might have coronavirus.
Yes,
already.
I know. It is a catch-22, but if you already think you have it, it might be worth the risk.
Yeah, okay.
My man advice for being a man is learn compassion. It's easy to get caught up in yourself and tell your own story and not realize that other people are going through shit too. Just take a moment to step back and understand what's going on. I'm not saying you got to let people walk over you. I'm just saying try to understand where people are coming from. There's this thing today where, you know, I'm not saying every man, but there's a huge number of men who are like, fuck that shit, you know, like I'm the best, I'm the boss, I'm a king, I don't need to listen to anybody, etc., etc. I'm like, Jesus, who taught you this? Like, did you not go to preschool as a kid? Have you never been to a Sunday school class? Like, did you learn via rap music videos? Like, who gave you the idea that it's okay to be like this?
Probably his father.
I mean, I don't know, man.
If not his father, his best friend's father.
Look, AP, his dad owns a dealership, okay? It's fine.
Listen, I know exactly where you're coming from with that.
Oh, he is upper middle class, right? You know?
I mean, you guys already said most of it. Like, mine was going to be similar to AP's, just like, imagine other people more complexly than you would expect to. That and like, maybe it's like I don't believe in God anymore, but I was raised Christian, and just like be kinder than you need to be is generally a pretty good rule of thumb. Like, don't be an asshole.
It's a pretty good one. Just rule number 1: don't be an asshole.
I mean, look, we say everybody's created equal. It's clearly not true, right? Everyone has different levels of ability and capability, but we can treat everyone as if they're equal.
Yeah.
We don't need to treat everybody like, oh, you're upper caste, you're lower caste, you're poor, you're rich. You could just treat everyone at the same general level of niceness. It's not that hard.
And if you can,
everyone like treat other people like you'd like to be treated, and let them fuck it up. Like if they treat you like a piece of shit, then you can walk away. There are 7 billion people on the planet. You don't
be
need
the
to
bigger
interact
man
with that person.
The other side of that coin is as well, and this is something that I wish I was told earlier in my life. People's opinions don't actually matter.
That's true.
Everyone's more concerned like how self-centered, how self-conscious you are. Like I have minor social anxiety, so when I go to the store, my brain is like wondering what people think about me. Other people are thinking what people think about them. No one cares. Just move on, move through your life. And if you do make a mistake, own up to it, but also don't blow it out of proportion. Like expect a decency from people as long as you're decent yourself.
Yeah. One small thing was also is if you can help, if you're not in a rush, like if you can help somebody, small things like if you're at the grocery store and you see some old lady trying to reach something on the top shelf, help her out, pay it forward.
Well,
like it's just small things.
Ask first, but yes.
Okay, well, okay.
Inquire. If you see something, say something and be like, hey, do you need help?
Like,
and then it turns out that it's 3 Shadow Raid legends inside of a trench coat, and you oh man, like, I'm not helping you.
In a coat, they flash you, and they're like, "Want to get 10 free rolls on the gotcha?"
Gotcha, bitch.
Gotcha, bitch.
Yeah, and like
raid shit
in chat, like also playing off kind of what Atomic said, like don't be afraid to tell your feelings, but also don't be afraid to tell people if you don't got the spoons to like deal with someone's emotional baggage right then.
I'm taking that.
Don't be their crutch.
The spoons. Oh my god!
I actually
listen. I don't have the spoons. Without Sputnik here, I feel so lost.
I kind of have had to deal with this in a way, Andrew. Like I've got I think it's because I'm brutally honest with a lot of people to a fault, because it's like, hey, do I look fat in this dress? It's like, well, you know what answer you're gonna get. Like if you ask me for shit. So I get a lot of people that come to me and ask me stuff because I've got enough. I just don't give a fuck. I don't sugarcoat anything. I just don't give a shit.
Yeah.
I had a friend who lost what?
No, go on.
I was gonna say lost a significant other, and being a friend, I was like, okay, I'll talk to him through this tough time, whatever. And over a couple of weeks, it kind of became like more of a thing. It's like I'm not going to be the fucking support pillar to this bridge of emotional shitstorm right now. And I just had to straight up tell her, like, look, I'm trying to be a good friend, but this is much too much. I can't. You're going to have to find somebody else to help you with this because I just can't deal with it. So yeah, don't be the
Fierro.
Don't be the crutch for someone else's problem if you know that you can't handle the weight. Like if you can and you want to be there, that's fine. But don't let somebody walk all over you with that shit. I mean, there's being nice and there's getting maybe unintentionally taken advantage of.
Yeah, there's being nice and then being someone's emotional dumping ground when you have your shit going on. Like, just
I think
the biggest thing: communicate with people. Communicate.
Yeah. Right now, I think what we all should be doing is pouring one out for our bro Spooty, who's not going to sleep in his own bed for a very long time.
I'm more worried about his fucking dog, man. I mean, I'm sure he's got somebody taking care of it.
Oh, no, I'm sure he does. But like,
look, as long as he stays in North Ireland, he'll be fine.
But he won't sleep in his own bed for a very long time.
I mean, he'll not sleep in his own bed for the same amount of time that he wouldn't have.
No, we're
as long as he stays in North Ireland, he can fly back to America, no problem. For now.
For now. We're saying, knowing this administration, you know how volatile that could be. So
I want to tell you the update from the last 10 minutes.
And then we can wrap it up. Sure.
Trump administration did not inform any of the airlines that they were doing this. So there are people that are being unboarded from flights right now
God damn.
that are savaging the crews and getting in fights with people. The airports are fucking chaos all over the country. You cannot call any airline support lines right now. They're all being turned off. People can't get their money back. They can't leave the airport, and they can't stay in the airport.
Fucking
10
Christ.
o'clock
Okay,
in
you
the
know
United
what's gonna
States. 10
suck?
o'clock at night is not when I want to be trapped in an airport.
Okay. You know what's gonna suck? My wife works at a company who handles flights and bookings for American
Yikes.
companies
Yeah.
like Google
It's gonna be
and
bad.
other things like that.
That's going to be a rough week.
I mean, Google
If they
said
can't, if they
100,000
can't
employees stay home.
contact,
Yeah.
if they can't contact the flight, the flight carriers, they're gonna contact her company.
And she's about to get
100%.
very, very busy day for her tomorrow.
And pour one. Forget pouring one out for Spoot. Pour one out for Dave's wife.
Sputnik's gonna be fine. He's
Look,
on vacation and he doesn't have to
Look,
worry about anything.
Look, chat may not know, but Sputnik can synthesize stuff out of whiskey. That's just a thing he can do. Everything.
Yeah, he'll have a
alcohol
place
and
in the apocalypse economy of Ireland for sure. He's fine.
Look, Spoot could blend in. Other than the accent, I'm sure he could blend in with an Irishman.
No, he could just pretend to be Swedish.
Oh God.
He
No,
can
I'm
talk.
not American. I'm from Sweden.
I'm Swedish.
I don't speak the Swedish because in my community we only speak the English.
Oh boy.
All right, let's wrap this shit up.
Let's
and
do some
start.
Yeah,
outros.
man.
Dave,
Yeah.
what do you got?
Hey everyone. My name's Dave. I make video games. A new video game comes out on the 13th, which is tomorrow for me, on the Switch. It's called Elder's Blood. ALDER, not elders, but A. It's a fantasy Victorian Cthulhu horror turn-based tactics game with stealth. If that is your Jimmy Jams, then you're in luck because that is a good one. And it's, yeah, a lot of people are really liking it. We're getting some really good reviews for that game. So excited to finally get that out on sale. And it's going to be our most expensive title that we've ever released as well. So
That's coming to PC, right?
yes, it's coming out on the 13th.
Okay.
Of the next month. So sorry, the 10th of the next month. Sorry. So that's going to be real fun. I'm really excited for that, mostly because like there's so much hesitation because we released like games at like $5, $6, $7 maybe. This is like a straight up $20 title, so we're just like I don't know. But at the same time, it's like it's a 40-hour long game, so it's like
It's a pretty
I
good
think
price.
it's worth $20.
I
And it's
kickstarted that thing.
competitively priced with all of the other types of games that this is. So, we did our research. So, that's
And
for
it's
sure.
also in a category that like has been a little bit starved lately. Like the last good
Yeah.
game like that was Mutant Year Zero. And that was
Yeah.
a while ago.
Yeah. Or Phoenix Point, but this one's more focused on like stealth or whatever. So,
Yeah.
but anyway, we'll be playing that on live stream on Friday. So if you want to come check that out,
What time?
8 p.m. my time, which is
I think you're 6 or 7 hours ahead of me.
yeah. So 6.
We can figure it out.
You better do one of those time day links because we've been pretty bad about that.
Poland's GMT +1, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
just-
so 7 hours.
Same time zone as France and stuff like that. So,
Oh, then yeah.
but yeah, you can come check that out. I'll be sitting here in my office with the developer, Michael, and yeah, so that'll be a lot of fun, definitely. I'll try and stream it on my channel, but I don't think we'll be able to do it because Restream is a piece of shit, and you have to pay a shitload of money for that. But yeah, what else? Yeah, go wishlist my game on Steam, Pieces of My Heart. It's a straight up porn game, so that'll be fun.
Sorry, bro. I'm out.
Yeah, straight up boobies and stuff. But yeah,
I'm dying.
straight up
Straight up
boobies and stuff.
I'm sorry, Dave.
anyway,
Straight up
that's it
boobies
for
would
me.
normally be a selling point for me.
Yeah, yeah, and follow my Twitter account, Kinky Fridays. We're doing some good shit there. So.
No, straight up boobies is the selling point for naked from the nipples down. that one title that we came up with on the show.
So like, is it just like after the nipples is just normal clothing?
Yeah, it's like underboob.
Above the nipples is normal clothing, and then underneath it is.
Yeah, it's the underboob, bro.
Yeah,
it's that ancient classic. I just want to cut in for another useless comment. In chat, they're saying, "Is a most expensive game popular, or mark-worthy?"
Yeah.
Let me tell you about a little game called Steel Battalion. An Xbox game you had to pay a $200 controller in order to play.
Yep.
Well,
you had to set it up on a desk with foot pedals.
Yep.
I forget what
for the Xbox one. It was the original Xbox.
I forget what I was watching. Maybe it was like it might have been an interview with the composer for Ori, but he was mentioning like the perfect range. Like you can't price your game too low or you can't price your game too high.
Yeah.
If you're in the middle,
$60 is right where most big companies are setting it.
Yeah, and like $20 to $25 is where mid-size indie companies are.
Yeah, that's about where I buy. Yeah,
I know a big thing too is a lot of people are doing like $20-$25, and then because then when like say a Steam sale comes up and it's 25% off or whatever, then you're just, if you hit that right like just below $20 sweet spot, people will snap that shit right up.
Yeah, man.
All right, Dave, who you throwing that intro to?
I'm gonna throw it over to the Raid Shadow Legend champion, AP Gaming Real.
Oh well, I mean, we'll be back for another episode of this next week. If you're here, you probably already know all the stuff I do. So,
are we talking more next week?
Yeah, we're gonna do another thing of this. Hopefully, by next week, one of us isn't dead of coronavirus.
We'll see what happens in a week.
In a week, listen. If we come back in a week and I'm just like, guys, I'm sorry, I was so freaked out about coronavirus. Thousands of people aren't dead. Turns out we have it completely contained.
Right.
I'll feel it. I'm not gonna be like, damn, this is so sad that history didn't play out like I thought it would. I'll just be like, wow, I'm so glad millions of people aren't dead because of the complete ineptitude of this handling. But I'm guessing it's going to be thousands of people dead by this time next week. So I'm going to toss it over to Atomic. What do you got?
What's up, guys? I'm Atomic. You can find me at twitch.tv/TomicWarsmith, where I occasionally stream things when I'm not dying. You can find me, obviously, here on Wednesdays. Hopefully, when, Spook manages to get back and we're not all dead from super gonosypha herpelades or, whatever it ends up being called. Also find me out here on Saturdays for are we streaming the practice game?
I'm going to record it, and I'm probably going to do a Patreon only thing.
All right, sounds good.
Let them get a taste
at some point on Saturdays, whenever we get around to it, a new Rogue Trader game we're going to be rolling up. And then you can find me on Pondo the Mad's channel on Sundays for his Gestalt 5e game when I am not in the emergency room. That's pretty much it. I stream whenever I feel like it, other than that. What you got coming up there, Drummer Boy?
Just had the most recent Court of Swords tune went up in the Bandcamp. So if you want to hear that, it's also going through the Spotify process now, so it'll be out hopefully within the week. Also, the next Star Wars tune. I'm starting to do character themes for the Star Wars thing. So I did one for Anna Prosser's character because she's the force sensitive Jedi force user, and we needed a good guy theme. So that's pulling double duty as like an analog to Luke's theme and the force theme. They're kind of like the same. So that's up in the Bandcamp as well. Roleplay.bandcamp.com. If you'd like to, those are $1 each. If you want to wait for the Spotify thing though, you can look me up on Twitter as Drummer Boy, and my last tweet was a thread about the most recent Star Wars one. Second tweet in that thread is a pre-follow link for the Spotify page that all that music will be at. So if you want to pre-follow and get notified when that's live, you can do that. Otherwise, you can check it out. Check out Drummer Boy on Spotify or Roleplay Radio on Spotify.
I want to add that Anna Prosser is exploding back onto the TTRPG scene. I guess she joined the main cast of the C Team.
Yep, and she was just on Ack Inc., I think, right?
Yeah, exactly. Ack Inc. is the C Team, but yeah.
Oh, is that the C Team? I thought they were.
She's on both. She's Evelyn on Ack Inc., and then I think she made a new character for the C Team season 4.
Cool. And then I'm working on the next Far Verona tune, which won't be done probably won't be done next week because it's a kind of weird one. It's like Shirley Temple synthwave. So I finished the Shirley Temple bit. Now it's getting into the synthwave and how to meld those together in a way that doesn't sound like hard garbage. So yeah, maybe in 2 weeks for that.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Yep.
That's it. We'll be back next week. Hopefully everything will not be shit. Have a good night.
Don't die.
I mean, I always
your
hope that people
fingers.
don't die. So, just like constantly.
Wash your hands.
Wash your hands, don't touch your
face.
face.
Sanitize your phone.
Dude, not touching my face is so hard because I touch my beard all day long.
Sanitize your phone.